Beats Planet.
I just went live on mine. I don't need a big, extravagant Dan-like intro because, I'm me. You know what I'm saying? But what's up, people on my side, people on Dan's side? We're joint streaming or whatever. We're just talking NFL today. I talked a lot of Cowboys last night passionately. I think this is going to...
mad.
I was angry. So
you were big mad.
I wasn't big mad. I was...
I mean, I've heard some big mad Voch before.
It was teetering. It wasn't big mad. It was a simple, stern talking to. It was a good finger wave involved. You move with your uncle and auntie in Bel Air. Absolutely.
You messed up. I caught something on my laptop you shouldn't have been doing, and you know, gotta have to slap you on the hand.
Use incognito next time. You know what I'm saying? But what this will probably turn into is a cold ass Q&A. Me and Dan gonna hit on a few topics. We're gonna make fun of Antonio Brown. I just know we're gonna laugh at Antonio Brown. And we'll Q&A for a bit. Then I'll go pack my bags for vacation. Good.
Yeah, let's do it.
What's been good though, Dan? What's been good though?
I mean, honestly, just kind of watching your show, kind of watching how my numbers have been going, kind of watching how the peeps doing over here. Brianna, good to see you in the chat. James C. Overton, good to see you. Just kind of seeing how the NFL's been going and the CBA and whatnot. Are you scared about the CBA, man?
I tell you what. First of all, I will never be so cool as to wear like shades on my stream like that.
That's my thing now.
I'll never. That's your thing.
I do.
Dan Hollywood and shit. I'll never wear shades on my. I might. I'm lying. I might. I don't know. CBA. If they waited last minute to get to it like they did last time, you know what I'm saying? If they just hit us with that, with that one more won't hurt. They hit us with that good old I'll get to him next week. Then I would be kind of weary about it. But I think they're at it early. You know what I'm saying? And even though they're at it early, deadline still makes deals. So they can talk all this whole lot of mess if they want to, but when people start, needing money, they need, they start missing checks and all that. They start missing ticket sales and all that stuff. I think it'll get hashed out. I think for the most part, I think they just want like CTE insurance and they want to be able to smoke weed without consequence. And I think the owners are trying to shoot for another game, maybe like one less preseason, just shoot for another game. And I think if they can meet halfway.
Either it's a preseason game or it's probably going to be a regular season game.
Sure.
Honestly, I don't think the players want another regular season game. They go through enough struggle currently, and the numbers don't work when you start trying to add an extra preseason game. It means you have to add an extra bye week, which means you're adding 2 extra weeks to the season. I mean, I think adding another playoff team, which adds another game potentially, that can be something you can do.
See, I don't like that idea, man. It's enough guys in the playoffs already. If you want to be in the playoffs, just be good. Be good enough.
I mean, and the other side of the argument is that there are so many teams that get left out of the playoffs because another team goes like 9-7 and wins their division, and they get into the playoffs where an 11-5 team is shooting. It's ridiculous.
Sure.
So I mean, I'm on that side of the fence. Where I'm like, it doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense to me.
You play in the South where every year 3 of y'all can make it. So I understand. I'm talking about the Falcons here. 3 of y'all.
You're in the division that also, the Eagles, the Cowboys, and when they were good, the Giants were all.
We gonna beat the shit out the Giants and the Redskins.
I'm not.
The playoff system is good for parity. I like parity. Parity's fun, except when you're the Patriots, ain't no parity over there. Like them hoes just make it every year. But I guess that just comes from being good or whatever. But I mean, if you want to add another bye week and just have 18 weeks and they still just play 16 games, I mean that makes sense. But I think you just got to give a little, take a little. Let them players have their weed, man. That's all they want. They don't.
But this is also about guaranteed money. This is about how much money everybody's making too. They want a cut of those TV deals. I mean, NFL owners are making dosh right now.
Sure.
They'll make it as much bread as they want to.
My
And with these TV deals, they're going to make even more bread. Why can't the players, like, top players are going to go after that money?
Sure.
But the second stringers are going to be like, okay, so where's mine?
On the second string.
I mean, yes,
that's
but
where it's at.
again, let's take Khalil Mack, for instance.
Sure.
Khalil Mack is going to get outpaced by Mitch Trubisky.
Sure.
And we know that's not the facts on talent.
Sure.
But the quarterback position is still going to get paid.
Sure.
So where does Khalil Mack get his money? He can be the number one paid guy on the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
But when Mitch Trubisky gets let's just pretend that Dak does get a deal that's $35 million. How long does it take before Mitch Trubisky gets a deal above that? And that's like half our problem here.
Well, the salary, well, the cap goes up every year. My whole thing, I just want the football guys to be realistic. I don't want them to go around saying I want basketball money, because the difference that comes with basketball money is that they play 1,000 games, which I think is ridiculous. They play 1,000 games and it's only 12 guys on the team. You know what I'm saying? What happens if you make the money they make, then the money don't add up and the franchise probably doesn't exist anymore. And now you can't make money playing football at all. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I think it makes sense. It makes sense. 12 opposed to what, 53? 53 guys? Like that's a big difference. That's a big difference. And if I'm Dak Prescott and I get 35, I don't want Cooper Rush asking for nothing close to half of what I'm getting. Because if I'm playing all year, you're going to sit down all year. That's just that, and that money that Cooper Rush is sitting on, could be going to the more relevant Cooper on the team.
Brianna, thank you so much for that $5 donation in the super chat.
Brianna's
really
fantastic.
miss you. Actually, you haven't been up in here lately. So thank you for that $5.
I miss her too. Shit. So what I think is important, man, I just think people just got to understand that the NFL cap is nothing like the NBA cap, and just work within your percentages or whatever. Now, if you want more money and it'll get tacked on as like a signing bonus or something like that, then cool, do your thing, man. But y'all ain't finna get like LeBron money off the rip.
Well, I mean, I think kind of outside of the box, I look at another completely different league in the MLS, and I see an opportunity for the NFL to make everybody happy, not only the owners, but also the players as well.
First of all, for you get going on that, like, what is soccer? What is that?
Soccer is the most widely accepted sport in the entire world.
Not in Mississippi.
And
not in Mississippi.
And the uneducated people of Mississippi
not in my country.
To educate themselves.
Not in my country. We play football in my country. Damn it,
she says she's been working and she's been in school, so she hasn't had time to tune in. I appreciate you having just a little bit of time to tune into the show. Yeah. In the MLS and how they do what they do with their cap space, they have a thing called a designated player spot. And let me just 30 seconds of rant here. This would work in the NFL. You designate 2 or 3 drafted players, originally drafted from their team, and those players can negotiate a designated player spot with a team that is not taxed on the salary cap. It does not count on the salary cap except for the last 2 years of the contract. So you can have leeway, say, on a 5-year contract. The first 3 years don't count directly to the cap. Only escalators do. And then the last 2 years do count on the contract, but all of that money in the first 3 years is guaranteed for the player. The last 2 years can be moved and negotiated and reworked so that the team can be healthy because you're not punished for having a good player that you drafted. And then guys like, say, in your situation with the Cowboys, Zeke and Dak, you can put them on nice contracts and not have to pay on the cap, but then you can wiggle in a guy like Amari Cooper who needs that money, who needs to get paid, and he can count towards the cap for his full salary because he wasn't drafted by you. You picked him up in free agent on a trade. Let
me just cut you off real fast. I totally get it. That makes sense. Let me just cut you off and say this. Stuart Morrison, drop 50 in the super chat. Give me a hug, man. Give me a hug, man. Philly 500, salute to you. I know you. What's up, bro? I know you watch my show. Great stuff, man. Been a big fan of your channel for a few years. Well, a few years. Salute to you. Keep up the great work. And Dan, in typical salary cap fashion, Brianna came to my channel and gave me $501 because I'm the next quarterback to be paid. So she gave me $5.01.
Ouch!
Because I got paid last.
Bidding war. I gotta up it. I need that 502.
Hey, look, because that's the market. That's the market on YouTube Super Chats. I get 502. Thank you, Brianna. Thank you, Stuart. Thank you, Philly 500. So you say that so like with the current draft class, the Falcons current draft class, like you saying that both your first round picks get a certain amount of like locked in money, but you sound like your third round guys ain't guaranteed shit and that they can go somewhere else and make some money or something?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm saying that if you drafted the player, say you drafted like with Atlanta, Julio Jones, Matt Ryan, Desmond Trufant, those guys, Deion Jones, Keanu Neal. We drafted them, right? Let's say the NFL gives out 3 designated player spots per team. They're tradable spots, but you can keep them and you can designate them to drafted players. Okay? You got that?
Gotcha.
So it doesn't matter where you were drafted in the draft. If you were drafted by the team, they get first dibs to say, hey, we're going to put a DP spot on you. You're going to have guaranteed money for the first half of your contract. Okay? Mm-hmm. It does not count against the cap. So we're going to pay you outlandishly. All right? Mm-hmm. And then the last half of your contract can be negotiated, moved. We can trade you. We can, we can franchise you at the end. However we want to do this.
Gotcha.
But this only counts for your second contract. So you get the first, for a first rounder, 5 years. For a second rounder, 4 years. For a third rounder and below 3 years. You get that first year to figure out who this player is. If they blow up, you can hit them with the designated player spot. Now you only got 2 of those left, and you most likely are going to use these on your quarterbacks, which are just outlandish money right now. Big time offensive weapon for the Dallas Cowboys, that would be Zeke right now. Mm-hmm. You would put a DP spot on Zeke because you drafted him. He's your property.
And it's like year 4 for him, so we know who he is. So it's time to talk money with him.
Exactly. But then for Amari Cooper, you didn't draft him.
Sure.
You acquired him from another team. So you can't use a DP spot on him, but you're not using any cap money on Dak and Zeke until they're, let's say you sign both of them for 5-year contracts, which I would think is ridiculous for Zeke, but whatever.
Right.
On the last half of their deals, they will count against the cap. But right now you have all this money to play with Amari Cooper. You have open money. So you can now play that on that. Now you could take somebody like, one of your linebackers like Van Der Esch, and you can slap him with a DP spot and be like, we know your value, and we know you're going to get massive money. So let's pay you off the books. I mean, it will be categorized on the books, but off the cap, and we can use this money on other players that we want to be able to keep in-house. And that's how you can give teams an advantage for drafting well. You don't punish them for going, well, X player did really, really well, and now you can't afford them, and they go with free agency and they're out. You can actually negotiate that with them and give them massive amounts of money, but then towards the end of that contract, it starts counting on the cap, and then you got to be a little more technical. And I think that would be a huge boost to the league, because now you don't have LeBron James-esque money or, Kobe Bryant-esque money flying around. And I know your point about, the cap increases every year. Well, so do the demands of the players. So it's almost moot when it does actually rise, because all that money just goes right back into players that are more outlandish in their demands of how much money and how much guaranteed stuff they want. Sure. So, yes, the cap can keep going up, but to get a portion of that TV deal, make designated player spots. Reward teams for drafting well.
Like the Cowboys.
I mean, Jalen Smith. How well has he played for the Cowboys?
It's goddamn fantastic. I can't wait to pay him.
You're going to have to pay him mega money. Because him and Van Der Esch are doing so well.
Yeah.
You're going to have to make a decision. Well, you wouldn't have to make a decision if you put a DP spot on him. You wouldn't have to make a decision if you had to put a DP spot on him. And then for the first, let's say both of them get 5-year contracts. For the first 3 years, each one of them don't count against your cap, but they do count out of your pocket as an owner.
You know, somebody just thought about.
By the 4th and 5th year, you can go, let's renegotiate a contract. Your money's now counting against the cap. Maybe let's give you guaranteed money now and put some rest of that on the back burner. It's a very unique way to open up the cap, give teams more options, because outside of that, you're basically baseball, where just whoever has the most money gets to buy everybody up. And that's not what the NFL wants to go to, because they don't want everybody to be like, for instance, Houston is a smaller market than Dallas.
Facts.
Just in comparison in fan bases.
Facts.
But Houston right now, because of attendance, because of the salary cap, they unfortunately can't provide for every single player. But Dallas has been drafting really well, and they're about to get punished because Dak and Zeke and Jalen Smith and Van Der Esch and Amari Cooper, they all want money.
Well, see, I don't think that's much of a punishment, though. I think that's a great problem to have. You know what I mean? I would rather have a roster so stacked that I can't sign everybody than to have like a giant situation where I can't draft a soul. So let me spend $1 billion on this defense that I can only keep for 2 years and be in salary cap hell for the next 7. You know what I mean? And if you gotta not pay a guy like Byron Jones because you paying Jalen Smith, that's just the motion. You know what I mean? I think what a lot of my Cowboy family members, what they end up thinking is that, okay, once we draft guys, the draft doesn't exist anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like if we got to let go of Byron Jones, we can still draft another corner. You know what I mean? If we let go of a Zeke, we could just draft another running back. Like, we draft well. I think that's the difference. Since I'm hating on the Giants, they got like $65 million in dead cap, by the way, which is insane for a team that ain't paying no damn body. I think it's a good problem to have. I think something else too on that point that you was talking about. The soccer system sounds kind of dope, by the way. But I think it'll be dope if the quarterbacks had their own like salary shit, like apart from the rest of the team, so you could
again. DP spots,
allowing
you to be able to keep your guys that you obviously you're going to have a demand of a ridiculous money. That's why you would probably give 3 to each team. Mm-hmm. So you'd use it on 1 defensive player and probably 2 offensive players, probably going to be a quarterback, and the other one's going to be a wide receiver, a running back, a offensive lineman, something similar to that effect.
It'll make sense to use those on the positions that cost the most. So that'll be, I guess, quarterback, defensive end, and I don't know, like left tackle or something.
Some will probably use it on linebacker. There will be a team that will go out there, and I'm not a big corner guy, but there will be somebody that will probably pay because they drafted a corner really well. They'll pay a corner a ridiculous amount of money. I mean, Jalen Ramsey will probably, leave Jacksonville, but they don't want to be punished for having him leave Jacksonville. Why not give him a DP spot and he make a ridiculous amount of money off the books?
I'm sure Jalen Ramsey would like a DP spot. Let me ask you something. As a Falcons guy, do you run into a lot of Falcons fans that when they get into their roster evaluation bag, their capologist bag, they just don't want to pay no damn body?
Everybody wants a filet mignon for the price of a McDonald's 5-piece or 10-piece.
That's crazy.
That's just, that's every fan base.
That's crazy.
But the Falcons fans especially, I deal with them all the time, so I'm a little biased in knowing that they're cheap. Falcons fans are cheap.
And I can appreciate that too, Dan.
But they don't want to actually pay them the money.
I tell you what, I can really appreciate that because I could probably cook a steak now. You know what I'm saying? I used to cook steak like black people and well done that shit and burn it. You know what I'm saying? But dog, a medium rare filet mignon is different. Oh damn. Oh,
when you're over there putting them in airtight bags and sous videing them for
Lieutenant
however
Dan,
long.
I need you to not judge me, sir. Don't.
I'm not judging you. I'm. That's blessed.
Iron Chef Voch. It's on the way, but medium rare filet. How do we get there? Oh yes, go. What I've noticed my Cowboy fan base, family, brotherhood, fellowship, or whatever. They don't want to pay a soul. They don't want to pay a soul. And I think that, okay, if it come down to our best players, like, would we pay them? You know what I'm saying? Like maybe they're iffy on the iffy guys, but D-hoes ain't want to pay D-Law. They don't want to pay Zeke. They ain't trying to pay Byron. The whole Dak, conversation or whatever. But even like Cooper came here and set the world on fire. And Cooper can't get. I'm like, who the fuck? Who y'all want to pay? Who y'all trying to give money to?
Nobody. They don't look. Everybody wants everything for cheap. They want everything to be affordable and for everybody to sit down and take their small cut of the pie and walk away, and then have all this extra money left over so they can go in free agency and grab all of these names. This is exactly every single fan base, especially Falcons. Man, the Falcons fan base. Oh, Eric Berry is still out there. Let's go get him. Oh, Justin Houston. Oh my God, he's gonna get traded. Oh, we want him. Like that's this Falcons fan base to me in a nutshell. I see somebody in the chat just said that I think it's funny that Lieutenant Dan hates Atlanta United but loves the Falcons. I guess he's a bandwagoner since the Bucks are so bad. I don't even know what that means. Oh, I don't know what that means, man. Oh, I don't get you. Huh? I'm bad company. I don't get that, man. You're gonna have to step up that game. If you're gonna troll a little bit harder. Okay, thank you. Anyway,
talk that shit, Dan. Shit, let him know.
Okay. I've been a Falcons fan since forever. So I mean, I don't get it.
Get that mother.
I don't get it.
Get that mother. Boy.
Anywho.
Anywho.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Where are we? Where were we? Fan bases are cheap. Yeah. The fan bases are they don't want to spend any money. But then they'll go out and go buy expensive bread from the supermarket and not have a problem about that. But as soon as somebody, oh my God, as soon as somebody gives somebody money, oh no.
First of all, they're acting that way because they're eating bread still, man. Get all them carbs out your body, man. That's why they acting crazy like that, because they eating all that bread.
Well, and go to Red Lobster and go get themselves like a big ass lobster, but then they then turn around and be like, oh, for the rest of the week, I have to eat ramen for the rest of the week. I'm like, come on, man. Just how about you save your money and just have good meals all week?
Oh man, there's a rap lyric for that. There's a rap lyric, but I won't get into it. So when I'm on my show talking my shit about about Stephen Jones, all right. Let me ask you this: what's the non-Cowboy fan opinion or perception of the Cowboys' front office? Like, what do you think going on? Because there's a lot of people that's still hollering Jerry. Like, what do you think's going on in the Cowboys front office?
I think, okay, and this is from an educated football fan standpoint. So I represent the common fan.
Sure.
But I don't necessarily think like a common fan. Mm-hmm. I think like a fan outside of the box. So my perspective
trust me, watch me segue this shit all the way to Antonio Brown. Go ahead. Watch me do it.
The outside perspective of the Cowboys front office is that the common fan will look at it as, oh, Jerry Jones controlling everything, Jerry Jones, blah, blah, blah. But I look at the Cowboys front office and I go, the drafts have been successful. The execution has been poor. And that doesn't necessarily have to do with the front office above the head coach. I think the GM, the owner, the guys that are out there in the scouting department, they're doing well. The coaching staff, the guys that they're training these guys, the guys that are supposed to be teaching these guys how to be humble, how to come out here and make good money, how to live life as a football player, not doing their job. And I think it's that just comes down to locker room etiquette and also culture. So I don't know who the vocal leader is in Dallas currently, but that voice is quiet as shit.
It's always interesting. It's always interesting to get the outside perspective. You know what I'm saying? It's always anyway. That ain't facts, by the way, but it's just interesting to get your take. I brought up Stephen Jones' name. Well, I brought up the front office, whatever. Stephen Jones. I think Stephen Jones is really like cementing himself to being like one of those top tier GMs or whatever. You know what I mean? One of them
he
guys.
keeps getting talent every single year.
Even that though, even like not even just acquiring players, but well, sure that, but like Jerry used to drop 2 first-round picks on Roy Williams, and Roy was like 34 and shit. Like he was trash. You know what I'm saying? Steven is playing chicken with these people and daring them to act up and daring them to say something stupid. I think the last few contracts or so, or the last few big contracts that we've signed or whatever, they've all been team friendly, and they've all been in situations to where if anybody else was negotiating that thing, it'll be it'll be so much more money, so much more non-team friendly than if Steven was negotiating. Now, I don't think Steven's gonna get his flowers because people hate the Cowboys for whatever reason, but Steven Jones is a gangster, and I think after a while, after the Cowboys won their Super Bowl in 2019, I think people really gonna start building a lot of respect. One thing I really like about Steven don't comply to these players that try to get their way. You know what I'm saying? I think it's something that's so toxic about a player that gotta have his way because he think he's so good. I ain't pointing fingers at a player in general or whatever. I'm just saying players do that shit. And I've played, I've coached, and every team I've been on, there has been a best player on that team that tries to get over. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I feel you. Like the proof's in the pudding.
Sure.
You see it every time they go out and they draft. When they go out and they put contracts down. I mean, I get it. And I mean, I think that if there was ever a guy that's like incredibly underrated for his staff bringing talent to their prospective team,
sure,
I think it would be the Cowboys GM. And in that same vein, it's kind of funny because I think that the Falcons do something very similar, where it's just like acquire great talent, boost it up, build it, give it time, suddenly comes out as solid. Boom. You got a hell of a team. It's just down to coaching and locker room identity. And so acquiring talent, getting the best guys, that's not a problem for either team. I don't think either team has a problem in acquiring talent. I think both teams have culture problems in their own ways, in their own lane. I don't think it's similar.
I don't think Dallas got a real culture problem. I think we got a handful of people that smoke a lot of weed. I think that's the issue. I don't think we got a culture problem. You know what I'm saying? I think
you can be a normal person and you can smoke some weed.
Watch this. And
I don't see if Atlanta players are smoking weed, they're doing it really well. Because if the Dallas players are smoking weed, they ain't doing it right.
You know who has a real like culture problem? Whatever team got Antonio Brown on it. Watch that goddamn segue, boy.
That's the segue.
Watch that segue, boy.
Yo. Not a game. Not a rule. Not practice. Not a contract. Not money situation. A damn helmet. We're talking about a damn helmet. Antonio, I saw a great meme on Twitter that was like a picture of Antonio Brown, and it says Antonio Brown week 1, and he has one of those leather strap helmets on.
Yeah, I saw that. That shit was funny.
Oh.
Dad, did I tell you that segue was coming, boy? Dad.
I got people in my chat saying that you sound like 2 Chainz.
I don't give a fuck. I do not. But Dan, didn't I tell you that segue was coming? Listen, man.
It was coming.
It's something about the front office that just don't comply to that player nonsense. You know what I mean? It's something special about it. And I'm glad I got a GM that ain't going for that foo-foo shit, man. Oakland going for some foo-foo shit, right?
And did you see how the NFL kind of like slid into Antonio's DMs and were like, "Oh, it's okay. If you can find a new helmet, anything you want, even if it's not really allowed, it's okay. We'll give it to you." Just like, oh my God, fucking divas. I don't think you heard it, but they asked Julio Jones about his helmet. And I fucking hate the AJC, bro. But the AJC comes out with this quote. Do you think that your helmet is okay? And Julio gave him this look, bro. That only that only certain people can pull off. That was just like, bitch, are you serious? He's like, is that leading to something, or my helmet's cool, I'm good.
Like, I think it's interesting how
I think Cooper would probably do the same too.
I think it's interesting how the players push for this. Hey man, what's up with player safety, man? Hey man, what's up with CTE, man? Then they get this new helmet that probably helps prevent CTE.
Hey bro, this helmet ain't good, bro.
And they go, I can't see. Look, my head feel good, but I can't see.
How about you take that stupid visor off?
Oh, Dan, he needs the visor. It's a part of the swag. The visor's
Take the
necessary.
swag off, and you might be able to see.
Dan, he can't simply just leave a swag at home. It's
No,
part of it.
No, you can't. You can't. Okay, quit.
Dan, you ain't never played receiver before. I dead ass watch receivers like go through like tedious levels of swag getting togetherness or whatever. Like,
What's this, back to school?
I'm sorry.
Let's go to Payless and let's get some good kicks, the Foot Locker. Then we'll go off. We'll go get ourselves a nice shirt and a nice backpack. Oh, back to school. Oh yeah, swag.
Daniel, I was an offensive lineman,
bro.
Daniel, I was an offensive lineman. Offensive linemen normally like keep it simple or whatever, but like receivers like cut their little shirts up and they had a little shit. They had a little decorations on the shirt and they tie the sides and knots and shit. And they got a sweatband and they got and they got a sweatband on their calf. I'm like, what you trying to keep your ankles dry? Like, swag goes a long way. They spend a lot of money at the Under Armour store. These wide receivers do.
Look,
I've never been a fan of this.
I'm gonna just say this.
Go ahead.
Julio Jones wears one chain, wears his hair short, wears regular conditioned everything else, wears 2 gloves, and some nice cleats. He goes out, he catches balls, he gets the job done.
Don't try to separate Julio from this swag.
Visor.
Dan, don't
comes out and does his fucking job. Antonio Brown, get out of here, bro.
Don't try to separate Julio from this swag conversation, because if you can wear a chain,
my wife is sitting on the couch right now. I'm Antonio Brown.
That's hilarious. That's pretty funny.
Matt Damon, Antonio Brown.
Are you a movie fan, Lieutenant Dan?
A little bit.
You like westerns?
I do.
Don't his blonde mustache make him look like Outlaw Josie Wales? That motherfucker look like Josie.
Can you just see him like quick drawing at the hip?
Everybody right now, Google Josie Wales and come back to the chat box. Tell me what y'all think. JOSCYWALES. Everybody Google Josie Wales and come back real quick. Tell what you see. That motherfucker mustache. God damn, Arthur Morgan, what you doing?
Arthur Morgan.
What you doing with that motherfucker?
My wife's now laughing terribly because she just finished that game. Finished that game.
Put on the phone right now, Dan. Put Crystal on the phone right now, Dan.
She's giving me the. I don't want to be on this. I don't want to be on this.
Crystal, we got to talk Red Dead for 5 minutes, please.
Voch says Red Dead for 5 minutes. Come and talk,
please. Just please.
Yeah, come talk Red Dead,
please. Spoiler alert, please.
Nah, she says her phone's more important right now.
Crystal, I need to share my experience with somebody. I'm about to cry.
I couldn't get into that game, man.
What the hell wrong with you? What you mean?
But I finished Spider-Man.
Fuck Spider-Man. What about Red Dead couldn't you get into?
I'm
on my third playthrough.
Overwhelmed me.
I'm on my third playthrough.
I think it overwhelmed me. I think it did, but I don't know why that overwhelmed me. And Dark Souls doesn't overwhelm me. There's so much stuff that you got to do in Dark Souls, but then Bloodborne, I'm doing that, and like.
All right, back to football, because you ain't finna tell me that you can play Dark Souls with a straight face and not tear shit up, but Red Dead was too much for you. I'm not gonna sit here and just
I mean, okay, here, same style of game, but I did finish it. Assassin's Creed. Why can't I finish Red Dead? I don't get it. Maybe is it just because it's a Western? Maybe I'm wrong.
Red Dead is like,
I need to play it.
Red Dead is the best B game from last year, dog. Like best B, like there's best A and best B. It's God of War and Red Dead. I need you to stop, Dan. I need you to stop, bro. Anyway,
maybe I'll play God of War first. But anyway,
back to you ain't played God of War. You ain't no gamer. Get out of here. So
Play
yeah,
AB, bro.
AB and his Josie Wells must say, I'm glad I don't have to deal with it. There's this faction of Raiders fan that was harassing the hell out of the Cowboys, like, oh, y'all paid too much for Coop, he ain't gonna be shit. And then he was fantastic, and they go, okay, well that's cool because it's kind of like we got AB for sending Cooper away. AB's better. Okay, even if that's the case, you dealing with a lot of shit right now.
They got a lot in their basket.
You dealing with a lot right now, and
They got the eggs, the milk, everything's in the same basket, but it's all open.
I think all that stuff counts. I think player personality, I think all that plays into, like, player fatigue is a real thing.
Yeah.
And I know it's a lot of Raiders fans that got a little bit of fatigue with Antonio Brown right now. And that ain't good for business. But John Gruden, look, this is what I like about John Gruden.
Who doesn't have fatigue?
Who's that?
Segueing into another wide receiver that got traded during the offseason.
Okay.
The Browns fans do not have any fatigue. They have like 25 cups of coffee in their system right now. Because Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry, that is a marriage right now. They're doing really well.
You think the Browns gonna make a nasty playoff run, like a nasty Super Bowl level playoff run?
I'm all in on not missing any Browns games this year just because I want to see if it's going to be a dumpster fire or it's just going to be real fun entertainment.
That's big.
So
facts.
I think that the Browns are going to be fun to watch, but I'm not going to make any predictions of like the Browns are going to the Super Bowl. No. I don't have time for that.
Big facts.
I don't get past the Steelers first, then we'll talk.
I'll tell you what. I was watching preseason last week. And I love to calm people. I love to just keep people calm. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people overreact. You know, we hadn't had football in a while. Sam Darnold went out there, went like 5 for 5 or some dumb shit. People was like, boy, Sam look good. And I was like, yeah, Sam look okay. Daniel Jones went out there and went 5 for 5. People were like, Daniel Jones look good. Y'all see them throws? He's 5 for 5 and a touchdown. I say, nah, hang tight. Hang tight. Let's not, Winston Wolf in Pulp Fiction. Let's not start yet. You know what I'm saying? Wait. When Baker Mayfield went out and threw his 5 passes, them 5 look different. Lieutenant Dan, them 5 passes was different.
I'm just excited to watch it. I really am. There's something about Baker Mayfield and his. I haven't seen this type of attitude since young Phillip Rivers.
I like it though. The
NFL needs it.
I don't need the same regular personality guys. Who was the quarterback from Memphis that was coming out in the draft like last year before? The white guy with all the tattoos and had a little bit of gangster in him. I was like the league need guys like that.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Riley something.
Riley, yeah.
Something. It's been a while. I don't know.
It's been in.
But I was like, man, we need more personality. Everybody wants to be cookie cutter same guy. I like Cam being a different personality than Matt Ryan or Drew Brees. I like Phillip Rivers having an attitude. I like the fact that Baker Mayfield can crotch grab, middle finger, Kansas sideline, and dare him to put points on the board. Like, that's fantastic.
I like that guys like Colin Kaepernick, not Colin Kaepernick, Colin Cowherd are coming out here and like, Baker, you need to act the way that you need to act. You need to be more professional. And Baker Mayfield is like subtly throwing middle fingers at them, being like, I do what I want, bitch.
Antagonist Dan.
Damn what?
Antagonist Dan tonight at 5.
I mean, I love it. I love when players go out. Former Panthers wide receiver. I can't remember his name.
Steve Smith?
No, not Steve Smith. It was the other. It was their
Musha Muhammad?
Or
Ricky Prohl?
No. It was Muhammad.
Musha Muhammad, okay.
That man, okay, I'm not a Panthers fan, but that man knew his priorities.
Sure. And
he would go on shows and be like, yeah, so? Mm-hmm. Like, I'm supposed to act the way that you want me to act and do all. I'm a person. Nice. I've got likes and dislikes, and this is how I treat the game. If you don't like it, don't watch. And that's what I see in Baker Mayfield, man. I thought I saw that in Johnny Manziel. But Johnny Manziel was just stupid.
Yeah. John was a little stupid.
But
Golden
Baker
Heart
feels
City
different.
says Baker is the modern Joe Namath. See, Joe Namath wore like pantyhose on TV. Like Joe Namath was more of a Ric
Riley
Flair.
Ferguson.
He was more of a Ric Flair. Riley Ferguson. Thank you.
That's the man.
He's more of a Ric Flair character. You know what I'm saying? Baker is a gangster. Baker different. Baker's different.
He's just bred a different way.
Baker won't wear leggings and pantyhose on TV. They make my legs look good.
I got a question.
No, sir.
That I think that we need to cover.
Okay.
And it goes a little along the lines of the cap and numbers and things like that. How valuable is Zeke? How valuable is the running back position as a whole? Is it diminished now?
No.
No?
That's a very nuanced question, Daniel. Zeke, I think, transcends what we think of running backs. Let me say this. Zeke, Saquon, Kamara, those guys are different when we talking about running backs. Jerick McKinnon ain't in that same conversation with them. You know what I'm saying? Guys like Aaron Jones ain't in that same conversation with them. Like, for example, when I hear these beat writers or I hear these analytic guys, which I can't stand, they say things like running the ball does not matter. They say that throwing a pass is more productive than running. Running shouldn't exist anymore. Well, if you ask football people, they call bullshit on that every time. I think analytics is for fans to keep up with the game better because Bill Belichick still runs the ball faithfully. You can't tell me Bill Belichick doesn't find the value in running back. Now, does he have one running back that can do everything? Nah, because he always winning. He's drafting at 32 every damn year. You know what I'm saying? But he has 4 running backs that would equal one Kamara or one Zeke or one Saquon. It's just that those top tier guys ain't got to take guys off the field to carry out that part of the game.
Let me put it differently.
Go ahead.
Zeke drafted in the first round.
Sure.
Has it paid off? Yes or no?
Has it paid off? Absolutely. Zeke has 100%.
Gurley in the first round.
Zeke, Todd Gurley, Alvin, Saquon ain't won games because the Giants are earthly trash. But those guys have won ball games. Like, they win you games. They make you better. They make your offense better because I've seen Darren McFadden in his offense behind that line. I've seen Alfred Morris in his offense behind that line. Shit ain't the same.
I'm not saying that the talent level is not different.
Sure.
Because the talent level is obviously different. You can find a very talented running back in the first round as well as you can find one in, I won't go this far, but I will say the 4th round. Sure. You can find still a very talented running back.
Sure. Now,
but there is still a talent difference.
Now, can you cut corners with running back like you cannot afford to cut corners with quarterback? I don't think that's the case. You would like to have a complete quarterback. You would like to have a complete offensive lineman. But that's like saying, oh, I don't want a top tier 3 tech. I'm just gonna get a defensive tackle that can stop the run, and on pass rush downs, I'll go run out somebody to go pass rush. And people do that, but I think
that's oversimplifying though.
But they would much rather have Aaron. I'm trying to because I don't want to get into super nuanced shit because I could just say running back matters because the smartest football people in the world say so, and I could leave it at that. I would rather listen to Bill Belichick than some beat writer. I could leave it at that. But I'm just trying to give examples for the people since we're doing the show. What you thinking about? Go ahead.
I mean, in my experience currently, and this is just a small sample size, but the Falcons have been successful in gaining, above average running backs in the system that they provide from the 3rd round or lower for the past since 2015, I guess. No, maybe 2012. Sure. They've been successful in acquiring these running backs that still change how the Falcons do things are electric, and yet have not had to utilize capital in the first round to get guys like a Leonard Fournette, who's always injured and is a locker room problem, or Ezekiel Elliott, who always has off the field issues and was drafted in the first round. Todd Gurley, who already has arthritis in one knee, and drafted. Not to say that those guys haven't been successful for their teams in one way or another. I mean, another great example is Saquon Barkley. Barkley is out there busting it up, first round.
Sure.
But Alvin Kamara, you find that guy in, what was he, the second round, third round, something like that?
I have this one quote that I have this one quote that I always go back to, and I love this. I say it all the time. I just kill myself with my genius sometimes. For every Phillip Lindsay, it's 5 Devontae Bookers. You know what I'm saying? For every Kerryon Johnson, it's 4 years of Abdullah. You know what I'm saying? Sure, you can get a successful running back in the third or the fourth. You can get a good anything in the third or the fourth. You know what I'm saying? But shit's different. Phillip Lindsay is productive. He ain't Zeke, though. Perfect example. Remember that one year when Jordan Howard was productive and he compiled them stats and everybody was like, oh, Jordan Howard is elite, and Voch called bullshit?
I mean, I get where you're coming from. But I guess on my side of the fence, I look at it like this. I'm not going to pull out analytics because I think that's trash. But I am going to pull out successful drafting based on character and traits proves that you do not have to spend top capital to acquire talent at the top of the draft.
But that's with anybody, though, man.
These are things you don't have to spend talent. But I'm also speaking out the side of my mouth because I know how valuable Julio Jones is to this team.
But that's another thing that I wanted to go into. It depends on the team. But put that there for a sec. But that could be anything though. Like, we got a first round cornerback. We also got a second round cornerback and a third round guy that I think can play. Our starting free safety is a fifth round. I think he's going to be pretty damn good. I ain't talking about Jeff. I'm talking about Xavier Woods. We got guys all over the draft spectrum or whatever. We got a quarterback that we got in the fourth, and he's the second most winning quarterback since he been in the league, 2016. You can get talent anywhere, but I think what most football guys will tell you, I ain't talking about GMs, analytics. I think what most football people will tell you is that you win the game with horses. You win the game with horses. You can be productive with Alfred Morris, but that defense is going to account if you got a horse back there. I just think that's facts. The Cowboys, when we played against Alvin, we had to put Jordan Lewis on them. We won the game, but we had to put Jordan on Alvin. We just had to account for that. If the Saints maybe had like another talent that wasn't named Michael Thomas at wide receiver, maybe that guy will be able to get off. Lieutenant Dan, you a Falcons fan. You understand that what Julio Jones for your offense does as a whole is bigger than what stats he may bring in. Julio Jones may not get in the end zone, but shit, somebody got in there because Julio's a horse.
But I account for one other thing that maybe that you're not accounting for.
What's that?
In this conversation, when we're talking about value for running backs, first round guys that can make a difference,
sure,
versus guys in the later rounds. Let's talk round 3, round 4, round 5.
Sure.
The symbiotic relationship that I always point back to of the running back and the offensive line. If your running back is good, he still needs the offensive line to block for him.
Sure.
Doesn't matter how good he is.
Sure. Takes both.
It's the same thing with a less talented running back. If your offensive line is really good, that less talented running back still has to pull weight.
Sure.
So it's a symbiotic relationship in that perspective.
I tell you what, C.J. Anderson got cut twice last year, 2 times. However, the Rams, they got a nice little system for him to play in. You know what I'm saying? They got a good little they got talent around them. They got a good offensive line. They got a nice little OC play call or whatever. C.J. Anderson can thrive
goes
there.
Hand in hand.
I think C.J. Anderson can thrive in a situation like that. Zeke can thrive everywhere. Alvin, Saquon, they can thrive everywhere. I mean, Gurley got arthritis. That's unfortunate. But shit, if he didn't, he could even with arthritis, shit, he could thrive anywhere. I think that's what you get with any of these guys, though. Mohamed Sanu is fantastic with, you know, Ridley and Julio around him. Mohamed Sanu, as a number one receiver elsewhere, he wouldn't thrive. Now you can make the case. Well, you don't need three number one receivers. Like everything depends on the situation, and I think Dak somewhere else ain't as valuable as he is here. Zeke is valuable everywhere. Everywhere. I think this is a good system for Cooper. Zach Martin is the best guard in the league everywhere. I just want as many horses as I get on my team. I don't care what position they play. I want horses everywhere.
I think and this is defensively and offensively, and we can agree on this, that no matter what you do when you build a team, you have to build it trenches first, and then everything else has to follow suit. And you can go get a quarterback and then start building the trenches, but I best not see you trying to grab an all-perennial running back in the first round when you haven't fixed those trenches yet.
I tell you what, you want to know something else that makes Zeke a damn light year better than a guy like Philip Lindsay? If Travis Frederick misses a year and Tyron Smith gets hurt and Zach Martin gets hurt and you got to run out there with Suafilo and Adam Redmond and Cam Fleming, you know how good Zeke can turn a 0-yard gain into a 4-yard gain, and I've seen him do it.
It's still
I've seen him do it, and it ain't like he
still say that it's still the offensive line that works with that running back that has that chemistry. It's a symbiotic relationship between those two.
Zeke
the guys
is
that know
so
where
talented.
He's going, how he plays is how that running back becomes successful. Not taking away from talent from Zeke, because Zeke is incredibly talented.
Sure,
but my point was, is it smart to be using first-round picks on running backs when you're not established as an offensive line?
If he's a horse,
it's smart to be investing so much capital and so much value in a running back in the first round when you know you're not successful yet. I mean, we can look at Saquon and say maybe that's an outlier. We can look at Zeke and maybe say that's an outlier. But that's not the case with Le'Veon Bell. That's not the case with Melvin Gordon. That's not the case with Todd Gurley. Those guys need a particular offensive line to work with them, establish that connection, and then begin to run. Not to say that those guys aren't talented and that they can pop up a play here or pop up a play there. But at the end of the day, when you're only running 3 yards a carry and your offensive line is not with you, then it's going to suffer.
Well, I mean,
whether your running back suffers or your offensive line suffers, and then that affects one or the other.
Well, so we're both draft guys. Okay, cool. Some people will say that about guard, and
I don't believe that about guard, though. And you and I both don't believe that about guard.
Absolutely.
If you got a talented guard in the first round, you're taking that fucking guard.
I'm not buying none of that foo-foo shit, but there are some analytic people that can tell you that you can live without a guard. I think Quentin Nelson bumped that whole offensive line up at least 3 ticks by himself.
I'm woke. I'm woke because I became an offensive line guy because of you.
Sure.
To watch this and go, you know what's really important? Everybody watching this right now, look at me right now. Yep. You know what's important? Getting an offensive line. Yep. Okay? If you're taking a center in the first round, fuck it. You're doing the right thing. You're taking a guard in the first round, fuck it. You're doing the right thing.
Sure.
You're taking tackles in the first round, fuck it. You're doing the right thing. Mm-hmm. You know why? Because when you build a great wall in front of your quarterback, you're always doing the right thing.
Yeah.
You're never wrong.
Yeah.
Never wrong.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think go get horses, man. That's my thing. I think sometimes people think too much. You know what I mean? Like Saquon is different. And even though having Saquon didn't result in wins because, you know, Eli terrible and they signed the best player on their team and gave him away.
God, Daniel Jones.
But you know how much more comfortable Daniel Jones would have been if he had Beckham to throw to and Saquon behind him. Whatever. Anyway, go get your horses, man. Get the best players you possibly can and figure that shit out later because you win the game with horses. That was a while to where most of Dallas horses was on the offensive line. Most of Dallas horses were on the offensive line. That shit really didn't tick until we added the extra running back there. You know what I mean? I just think every team has its own combination. I always equate football to Elder Scrolls, like an RPG game or whatever. You know what I mean? You can't train two-handed sword all your life, go to the fucking boss fight, pull the bow out, and think you tearing shit up. You can't do it. You gotta fit what you do. Your weapons gotta fit what you do. Your armor gotta fit what you do. Everything gotta match. And I think there is a scenario in football where top tier running back, top tier offensive line, chain moving clutch quarterback can win you a Super Bowl. That's just how I feel. Oh shit, Nick Foles did it. The damn Eagles just did it. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, and here's a really interesting thing about that whole run with Nick Foles is that they built a particular offense around that style of players that they had, and it became successful. It could have turned badly. Mm-hmm. It could have been terrible. Mm-hmm. Things could have gone wrong. But RPO for the win. They followed a trend. They didn't create jack.
Sure.
That shit was going on in the college.
Sure.
That's
big
followed
facts.
the trend, and they had the players to be able to execute that trend. And they capitalized on it, and it just so happened to work. It could have been shut down just like the Wildcat stuff, just like the read option stuff that's been shut down in Carolina. That only works half the time, maybe that. So, I mean, it just depends. Depends on if you have the talent around it. But, I mean, I guess that's here nor there because that depends on what head coach you're going and what he likes to run and so on and so forth. Vita Vea got hurt again. He's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks or something along those lines. We were both really, really high on this man. This is only year 2 for him, I believe. Voch, you have anything to say on Vea since he's going to be missing much, much more time? Do you think this is the start of something, or do you think that maybe?
Man, that's Falcon news, man. We don't play the Buccaneers. We'll beat the shit out of the Buccaneers. We play the Buccaneers.
Nah, I'm talking about draft as a whole. Maybe that changed your opinion on players like that?
Nah. I still like horses. Vita, he started off kind of whatever, but he, horse. you see that shit just coming out of him, you know what I mean? Like he's developed, he's gotten his grown man situation into him. Now, like if you want to get into medical like that, I mean that's a whole nother
Yeah, I mean that's a different story, but I mean we're just basically on the production side of it and in terms where he's been drafted and value.
In terms of noses aren't valuable to the grand scheme of analytic people. Get horses,
get that shit out of my face.
Get horses, man.
Get that shit out of my face. I don't want to talk about that nonsense. Yeah. Nose tackles aren't a valuable resource in the. Shut up.
But
shut.
Anyway, yo, Dan, we had an hour, man. I gotta pack up and go to vacation and shit.
All right, Voch.
This was fantastic. You about to still be live on yours for some overtime, or what we about to do, or what you about to do?
I think I'm gonna be wrapping this up, and then for all of you guys and gals listening currently, I'm gonna be live with Aaron Freeman and Matt Corley, whatever his name is. I'll get it right tonight when I'm with them. But I'll be doing a dual show with that, talking mainly Falcon stuff versus the Jets, and hopefully we kill Sam Darnold. That won't be a problem.
Plug your stuff, brother, so my people can hear you.
Remember, all of you guys and gals that are listening over on Voch's channel, you can find me Unintentional Grounding here on YouTube, UNGR_show on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure that you check out the Patreon that's down below in the link of the description of my video here, as well as go over to the Twitch and check out our video gaming stuff and some of our sessions over there that we're doing film breakdowns on Twitch, Voch. We're doing film breakdowns on Twitch, and they don't ban you for throwing up some football stuff. Just FYI.
Shit. Let's start stealing again. I mean.
What?
My bad.
I feel like when we're on YouTube, we're out there making moonshine when we do these videos.
I tell people that all
we're
the
the
time.
moonshiners.
I tell people that all the time. Like, bro, like we can't complain to YouTube because we robbing people. like we stealing. But hopefully I'll be podcasting like when all this shit is over. I'm not gonna be doing film forever. Sorry, y'all. But like when I do my whole Thanos thing and I'm just sitting on the farm with just this deep breath of satisfaction, like I did it. That's gonna be Voch. That's gonna be Voch, man. I ain't gonna be doing this shit forever. But whenever they crack down on us, we'll be straight. We'll be good to go. Lieutenant Dan, appreciate you for having me on your platform or whatever. You've grown so much as a YouTube guy. You alluded earlier that you have such a respect for offensive line because you just kind of like watch me talk about it or whatever. You're a fantastic recipient of information. I don't even know if I said that right. I'm not an English teacher. Who cares? But hey, man, let's get this money, get these views, and get these subs up. You know what I mean? Everybody on my channel, go to Unintentional Grounding, sub Daniel up because we all got this same little goal that we are trying to reach. And if you're a wrestling fan, he talk wrestling, he talk gaming. He ain't never played Red Dead, so I don't know how credible he is there. But
you chill out now.
Yeah,
you chill out now. Simmer down now.
Hey, man, y'all hold it down for the Doski Woski. The Peasky Whiskey is free. Thanks, Dan.
All right, man. Take it easy. Rise up, stay grounded. Hope everybody over here has a